Hello loves! So today I'd like to talk a little bit about taxes. Please keep in mind I'm not a CPA, though I certainly recommend that you go see one. But I want to tell you just a little bit about what you should be keeping in mind and why taxes can be more important than you think. So, as a freelance model, you are considered, for tax purposes, an independent contractor. This means that your files are going to be a little different, and you probably need to do a little bit of research on how to actually file your taxes. Again, I highly recommend that you see a CPA in your area. If you work with an agency, they'll probably have resources available for you, so this video is really geared towards freelance models. So, when I started out, I thought that as long as I didn't reach the minimum threshold for having to file taxes, why bother? I found out after a couple of years of working and not filing because I technically didn't have to, that there are some very good reasons to bother. If you want proof of income, filing taxes is the best way that you can get it. It's very, very difficult to prove income as a freelance model without filing taxes. Now, if freelance modeling is your part-time job and you have proof of income from a different job and you don't need it, great. Maybe don't file taxes if you don't legally have to and don't see a reason to, but it really can help. I also found out that if you don't hit that minimum threshold, there may actually be ways for you to get money back from the government. I don't recall what it's called, but there is something that they do. If you hit under a certain level, you can get a refund without paying taxes, as I understand it. So that might also be something to look into. But here are some other things to consider. You don't know how much you're going to make in any given year. So it's a very good reason to be tracking everything as if you're going to file taxes, whether you actually do or not. This means track your mileage, track any purchases that would be accepted for tax reasons. For modeling, as I understand it, that means any clothes, makeup, etc. that would be used only for your modeling business. This also would be any meals purchased while on a trip that is at least overnight or longer. So you want to track these. You want to track your mileage. You want to track your expenses so that if you do hire a CPA or do taxes yourself, when the year ends, you have that information. You should also, regardless of whether taxes are of interest to you or not, be keeping a record of who you shoot with, when, where, and how much. That's going to be important for filing taxes and just for keeping a budget and keeping track of your income. So in my experiences, filing taxes is certainly important. Once you hit a certain point, of course, you do have to file taxes. And again, I urge you to consider that even if you didn't make enough last year, don't just assume you won't make enough this year. It's entirely possible to grow your business. So please keep these things in mind. Consider hiring a CPA, or at least do the research needed to file your own taxes properly. Keep track of your expenses and your mileage. Keep track of your photo shoots. Have the information you need on hand if you do consider, or if you do decide to file taxes. And just keep in mind that filing taxes does help you in multiple ways. Having that proof of income is huge. It means that you can get a credit card with better credit or better interest. It means that you can have proof of income for any number of things. For help, say several years ago when I had just started, I ended up having to visit the ER. And without proof of income, I actually couldn't prove that I was eligible for their service that assisted people paying their medical bills if they couldn't pay them themselves. So because I didn't have proof of income and couldn't prove that I made as little as I was making back then before I built my business, I couldn't switch to a credit card that had better interest rates to save money. I couldn't prove that I needed financial assistance. I couldn't do any of that because I didn't have proof of income. You shouldn't just count on proof of income for once you make enough money that you're interested in going through the process to get approved to buy a house like I am right now. You really shouldn't wait that long. Proof of income is important for multiple reasons, and you want to have it. So I really strongly urge you to consider filing taxes even if legally you don't necessarily have to. With that in mind, I also urge you to consider saving money for taxes every year. Personally, I usually put aside a minimum of 10% of what I make, everything I make, to have on hand to pay my taxes. Maybe I won't need it all, but if I do, I'm glad I have it. You don't want to get blindsided by a huge tax bill if you do end up doing very well in your modeling business. Those are some things to consider. Hopefully I was clear enough. Again, please note that I'm not a CPA, but I do highly recommend that you visit one. And please, as always, feel free to message me with questions or leave any comments or questions below. Thank you. See you next time.